himself enough for us to go with him in the season, you pull the trigger right now. Because to RC and Dan's point, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know if your franchise guy is sitting in the locker room until you give him an opportunity to do so.
Well, first off, they just didn't want to make a hard decision, right? The figuring out who's going to be number 2 is going to be a difficult decision. It would have been a much harder decision to figure out which one of those young men would start. And when you look at what the Cleveland Browns are doing, this is why people spin the block in relationships, right? You remember, hey, man, I had a great relationship with this person. Then I moved to this person and it wasn't so good.
You feel like this young guy has...
The drama around NFL rookies is exploding again, and right in the middle of it is Dillon Gabriel's terrible start. After stumbling at the beginning of his career, people are already asking if he can really compete with the young rising stars in the league. But Gabriel isn't the only one under the spotlight. Ryan Clark called out the Cleveland Browns, saying the team still has no clue which rookie quarterback will step up after Joe Flacco's exit. Yet there's one name fans can't ignore, Shedeur Sanders. Still, the Browns keep acting like he doesn't exist. Clark made it clear, and he's not alone. Marcus Spears, known as Swagu, also jumped in, insisting that judging by recent play, Shedeur might actually be the superstar the NFL has been waiting for.
Is what I feel about
But that's the thing. If they don't play, Swag, how do you know? Like even if they're at practice and like Jason said, we're seeing them do well against the ones playing well in 7-on-7. It's still practice.
We're talking about practice. But RC, that's the question that I'm asking.
Ryan Clark didn't sugarcoat anything, blasting the Browns for refusing to give Shedeur Sanders enough playing time to actually show what he can do. He called out Cleveland directly, saying it makes no sense for the team to talk about choosing their top quarterback after Joe Flacco if they won't even let Sanders get on the field. Clark reminded everyone that whenever Sanders has stepped up in training, he's delivered strong performances. But without real snaps in actual games, nobody can truly measure his potential as the starter. Clark's criticism hits hard, because the truth is, Shedeur Sanders is not being treated fairly by the Browns. Even coach Kevin Stefanski looks lost whenever Shedeur Sanders gets mentioned. In his latest press conference, Stefanski's uneasiness was impossible to miss. The shaky answers and long pauses made it obvious he didn't want to touch the quarterback question, especially once Sanders' name came up. Reporters pressed him on why he suddenly decided to start his quarterback in the 3rd preseason game this year, something he refused to do last year, and his response was nothing but weak. All he gave was a hollow line, "We do what the players need."
This year would be that joint practice in week 1. And then this year, just feel like that's what this team needs to get ready. Try to every single year make decisions based on what the guys need. So that's what we'll do.
Here's the real issue. Shedeur Sanders still hasn't been given a real game to prove himself, nor has he had the chance to work with the Browns' first-team offense. So how does that line up with Kevin Stefanski's claim about doing what the players need if the true goal is to build talent? Benching Sanders makes zero sense. Fans are frustrated and asking why the quarterback they're most desperate to see is being completely ignored. Right now, Stefanski's so-called explanation sounds less like a strategy and more like a weak excuse, leaving fans with even bigger doubts and no real answers. The confusion around Kevin Stefanski's choices isn't going away. When pressed again about the quarterback situation, his only reply was, "We'll make that call in a couple of days." But let's be real, picking a starting quarterback on such a short clock isn't strategy, it's stalling. Fans aren't blind. Deep down, this doesn't look like an open competition at all. It looks like yet another move to keep Shedeur Sanders stuck on the sidelines. Right now, Stefanski's empty answers don't inspire confidence. They sound more like delay tactics than any kind of bold, decisive plan.
What do you plan to do at quarterback for the dress rehearsal game, and what is the timeline for naming week 1 starter?
Yeah, I want to get through the next couple days, but certainly that's something that we're going to do here sooner than later.
When the topic shifted to Shedeur Sanders, Kevin Stefanski didn't hold back. He flat out said he doesn't expect Sanders to return this week. But the way he delivered it raised red flags. Instead of showing concern about his quarterback's recovery, it almost sounded like he was relieved. Fans have noticed this too, and many believe Stefanski isn't in a rush to bring Sanders back into the mix. Because once Sanders is ready, the coach will have no choice but to face the quarterback controversy head-on, something Stefanski looks desperate to dodge for as long as possible.
Increase their level of participation in practice this week?
I hope so. We really have to take those day by day, so I don't know where that ends up towards the end of the week, but I'm hopeful.
The Browns are clearly holding back Shedeur Sanders, and fans see right through it. Kevin Stefanski's excuses don't sound like strategy, they sound like fear. If Cleveland keeps this up, they might ruin the chance at their true franchise QB. Comment your thoughts, hit like, and make sure to subscribe for more NFL drama.